all set up here correctly, please just talk amongst yourselves for a minute and let us know how the sound quality is. The lighting's going to be a little bit funny this time just because it's cloudy outside, so this is the best that we can do with the lighting. But that is less important than the sound quality, so please just let us know how that is. And then we'll get right into everything. We've already got 14 people here, so I know we're all very anxious to start talking about the official visa changes and everything. I know it affects a lot of people, including ourselves. So, also apologizing in advance that Bosco is incredibly needy and hyper this morning. So we're just gonna hope this goes okay, but there's not a lot we can do about that either. So, CB says sound is good. Okay, thank you, CB. So I think we're good. We did everything okay? All right. Okay.
15 viewers so far. Pretty
Another
good
sound
start.
good for me. Alicia says audio is good. Okay, well, today is Bosco's rescue-versary. So we found Bosco underneath the neighboring abandoned house.
He doesn't look a day over abandoned.
2 years ago today, we trapped little baby Bosco. And his personality has not changed a bit in those 2 years. He was 6 or 8 weeks old when we caught him underneath the house, and when we brought him home was the first time that he had solid food. So he was just a pup, but he still very much has a lot of those street dog tendencies, so bear with us, as you guys have seen in the past live streams. Alright, Edgar's here. He says, Buenos dias from Mexico.
Buen dia.
Okay, so Marcus. Yay, Marcus. Hey, there we go. Marcus, are you driving? Are you listening to us in your car? We got a lot to cover this month, so we're going to stay with our format that we've been doing for about the past year. So we're going to start just by letting people filter in, and we'll go over what we've done the last month, sort of answer some questions as they come up, and we'll talk about what's coming up in November, and then we'll really get into the meat and potatoes.
Brackman says hi, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Brackman. Marcus says, making brekkie Vegemite toast. We've had, Marcus brought us Vegemite last year, and then James brought us Vegemite when he came to see his house on Hakata, and it's gone already. So we need some more Vegemite. We need our Australian friends to come visit again. Okay, so let's get into it. This will be quicker than usual. We're going to go through our last month and our next month just a little bit quicker. Starting with honey. So honey inventory is looking pretty good. So we have 471 jars remaining out of our 1,266. So that means that 63% of our honey jars have gone to good homes. And we have 37% of our honey remaining, which, you know, we still don't have a solid projection on, you know, if that'll be done by the end of the year or by the end of winter for sure, but it's looking pretty good. And just a note, we'll touch on this more in a minute, but while we're speaking of honey, we are going to keep the honey shop open until the end of the day tomorrow on the 27th, our online honey shop, and then we are going to close it for 2 weeks. We're just going to take some downtime, not process honey mail during that time. So if you would like some honey before the shop reopens on November 15th, you'll have to the end of the day on the 27th to get honey orders placed. We're just going to, we've got a lot going on, and so as you know, as you all know.
Blaze Girl says, you can take the dog off the street, but you can't take the street out of the dog.
It's true, yeah. He's harassing Sumi right now. They have this game that they play where she runs around the outside of the room and he chases her from the inside, and it sounds like they're fighting, but they are playing. Julie's here too. Hi, Julie. We got all our regulars. Guest house. This is our 23rd month of operation that we're just finishing up. October of this year that we are just about to finish is the highest income month that we've had again. This is the highest income month of all 23 months. And if I look exhausted, it's because I am. We've only had 5 unbooked nights in October, the whole month. So every other day I've been checking out guests, cleaning the guest house, and then greeting the new guests. Every night has been one night stays, except for 5 days in October. And also, during this busiest month, I don't anticipate us, I think this is going to be our peak month for quite a while. I don't think a month is going to top October for a long time, maybe until next October. However, during our busiest month out of 2 years, we've managed to, our guest house rating has actually increased. So as we get new reviews coming in on Airbnb, we've gone from 4.91 to 4.92. So good job, everyone.
Good job, guests. Thanks for leaving those reviews.
Yep.
We bought some new video games, too.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, we bought some new... We invested. Those are an investment.
Yeah. a good investment. The Nintendo Famicom gets mentioned in, I would say, by the vast majority of reviews. Everybody loves cycling all day and then just hanging out and playing Nintendo, and so we picked up a good dozen or so new games for that. New old games. Moving on to the consultation part of our business, for the second month in a row since the business manager visa change news broke, that has dropped. It was increasing steadily and then plummeted to 0. So this is the second month in a row that the consultation aspect of the business has been at 0, but that's to be expected. I said that as soon as we got the news and then processed how this is going to affect us, then we knew that the consultation was going to drop, as everyone has been waiting and their plans have been changed, unfortunately, and trying to figure out what to do. So that was to be expected. YouTube, we have 112 or so new subscribers. I saw this morning it was a little more than that. And we still have 2 memberships. So thank you very much to JJ and Saab. There are our 2 YouTube members, and they actually helped us earn a small bonus from YouTube. YouTube was running a promotion. I didn't really, we don't know what we're doing with YouTube. We're just here sharing information, and YouTube sent me an email about a promotion saying, hey, if you set up memberships on your channel, and then if you get a member within the first so many days, then they would give us 60,000 yen, which is about $400. And I set it up, the membership tiers. I did, what YouTube asked me to do, and I didn't even promote it or mention it in any of our videos. And then we got 2 subscribers, so we received that YouTube bonus this month. So thank you so much to JJ and Saab for being members, and your membership actually went a lot further, and you helped us earn that bonus. So thank you very much.
No.
And on Buy Me a Coffee, we still have 3 subscribers over there. So thank you to Cody, Jennifer, and Kasasagi. The last month, we've also had a lot more socializing than we're used to. Many of our foreign neighbors have returned to the island because now, just as of a few days ago, is the nicest weather, the best time of year. So a lot of folks are coming back to do their own house renovations. and begin, continue progress that they were making. We've got quite a few neighbors on the island who sort of come and go throughout the year, and everybody happens to just be back at the same time. Well, not everybody, but many of them. And let's see, next week we'll be going, I don't know if I've really mentioned it, but we have another couple here on the island who are going through Imabari City's startup visa program, and they will be renovating 2 houses here into guest houses on Ōmishima, and they are from Belgium. I don't want to tell their story too much without them here, but we've been talking with them for a long time, and they're here now. And we're going to start filming a whole series of videos. So we're going to document their whole startup visa experience and their house renovations as well. And then we're also going to continue sort of the house renovation documentation of others here on the island. So we're going to do a follow-up video with our neighbor Tamayo-san, who did the renovation for her restaurant that was also a former Akiya. So we'll have a lot more of other people's house projects coming up soon as well. So that sort of falls under the socializing, which we weren't, we work a lot. So now we're getting invitations and we have to go do social things.
Have to.
And we got some surprises in the mail. So since Marcus is listening, we got it's in the shower, but Marcus sent us a nice luxurious body wash to enjoy with our new hot shower. And we also got a postcard from a friend that we have in New Zealand. So thank you, Catherine, for your very nice postcard. Then moving on to the big news, we completed the final step of the small business subsidy. So that is official, and we're just waiting on our final certificate from the subsidy. So that's the first of the major news since last month, is we got our small business subsidy, and that will involve a lot of construction over the winter months. We'll talk more about that in detail later because that's not the main topic of this video, but I'm sure we'll have lots and lots of details. I'm already getting tons of questions about how complicated it was to apply for, how hard was it to get, what are the rules, that sort of thing. So I'll have lots of information about the subsidy coming up later. I just wanted to announce that it is official now. We've completed the final step of acceptance. So we've got a couple comments coming in. Marcus, thank you again. Awesome. Prodigal Inc. says, congratulations on the 1 year. Was hoping you get 3 or 5 too. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. It's a bit disappointing, but we are also still happy to be here. Edgar says, that sounds great. More videos that definitely seem like right up the same content alley of the channel. Yeah, and that, I've wanted to do that from the beginning, is just sort of not just focus on ourselves and sharing, we share our experience and what we're doing, but I also want to share what other people are doing in our area. It's similar interests, everybody's loves to see that kind of thing, and the property tour videos and the renovation videos are definitely our second most popular. So the data videos and the step-by-step process are by far the most popular videos on our small channel, and then the just seeing houses and renovation is the second most popular. So that's what you guys want to see. Then, of course, the final piece of our big news from the last month is that we both submitted our renewal application for our visa and received the response. So that all happened within the last month. So the first time we received the business manager visa renewal, it took 10 days. The second time it took 6 days, and the third time, which is what we just completed, after 6 days we got an email from immigration asking for additional documents. So this was a new thing. This is something new that they're asking for with each renewal. And so it was also a new request for our immigration lawyer. So we imagine that this will be a new document that's required each renewal moving forward. So after 6 days, we got an email asking for that new document.
Which is a tax document, right?
Well, it was a tax document, plus it was a specific format explaining.
Oh, for our business, how we were going to meet the business requirements or something like that.
It was explaining specifically Evan's role as business manager in the business, and then outlining highlights from the last year and goals for the next year.
Highlights, yeah, for business activities, like what?
Yeah, specifically focus on it. It seemed like it was a way for immigration to have a better understanding specifically of Evan's role in the business. And for us, we are technically a one-man business. I am here on the dependent visa, and we do not yet have employees. So I could see how this form would be very helpful for big businesses, where you have many employees and immigration would like to know specifically what is the business manager doing. I can also see how the form would be helpful weeding out people who aren't actually managing businesses.
Yeah, it sounds like a pulse check to me.
I think so, yeah. So it wasn't a ton of work. Well, our immigration...
We didn't do it.
We didn't do it.
Our
Our
business
immigration
manager,
lawyer...
business consultant did it.
Immigration lawyer did it. So it was resubmitted the next day. And then 12 days later, we waited 12 more days for a total of 18 days before we received the approval, the ominous email from immigration. They always send the same, it's like a standard form email. It says, it says, we've made a decision on your visa. Come to Matsuyama within 14 days. That's what they tell you. So it could be good, it could be bad. They don't tell you even if you're accepted or rejected until you get to the office, which I suppose is good because if somebody's going to get bad news, they could run or, do whatever. So it's always ominous to get that email. But it was perfect timing. So we were able to rearrange the next day. We got the email in the late afternoon of the 20th. And then I didn't have to clean the guest house the next day. And so we were able to just rearrange everything and just immediately go to Matsuyama. So we left here at 7 a.m. We showed up at the office right when they opened, and so we got ticket number 001. We were the first ones there. And it's always very quick and easy at the office because the decision's already been made. So, yeah, the official equivalent of we have to talk. Yeah, pretty much. So we pretty much, you just go to the office. You have to bring a printed version, a printed copy of the email, plus a change of residency status form. And then you go upstairs and you buy a purchase stamp, which is 5,500 yen, and it's gone up. It was 4,000 yen last year. Now it's 5,500. You put the stamp on the form, and that shows that you've paid for your response, I guess. You paid for that's how much it costs, technically. So then you just submit your passport and your current residency card and your email and your change of residency status form with the stamp on it, and you give that to the person at the counter, and then you just wait. And every time we've been in there, it's been less than an hour. And then, of course, The very final thing before you leave is when you get your new residency card, and that's when you find out how long you have received. So we got a year, and it's not great, and we spent a couple of days just sort of feeling miserable for ourselves. When, you know, it's like, well, do we celebrate or not, you know? And of course, we've had a little bit more time now to process it, and it's still going to be a major uphill battle. But what I'm realizing is that I've been talking with quite a few people, and thank you for all your messages and emails and encouragement and all of that. We just have so much motivation just from receiving all the messages of encouragement from people. But what I'm realizing is that we think that, so there's 40,000 people on the business manager visa prior to the changes. And it says on the official announcement, which we'll get to in a minute, we'll go through and read that together. It says that everyone will need to document over the course of the next 3 years. So we have 3 years to meet the increased requirements, right? And it says that with each renewal during those 3 years, we have to show reasonable progress towards the goal. So, you know, in thinking more about that and feeling like we really should have gotten 3 years this time, everybody of those 40,000 people probably, this is conjecture, you know, this is what I think, is that everybody is probably going to get 1 year, 1 year, 1 year for the 3 years. And that's in order for us to show progress towards the goal during the 3 years. Otherwise, how would immigration know if we're making progress, right? So I think that's probably their plan, and probably the reason that we got 1 year this time might not have anything to do with our application. Does that make sense? Like, I think that's probably the case. That's their only way of monitoring if anyone is making, you know, they've got 40,000 people and they have to monitor their progress towards these new, much higher goals. So,
well, that's not the only way they could do it, but...
No, it's not the only way, but it makes sense. It does make sense. It's a bummer, but it makes sense.
You know, maybe Japan just has personnel problems filling the immigration, you know, police roles. Maybe they don't have the personnel to, just like they don't have the personnel to staff the old folks' homes and the shipyards. Maybe they don't have the personnel to staff the immigration bureau. But
what do you mean?
Well, maybe they have to. Maybe they don't have the personnel to go out and check everyone one by one, so they're doing this instead.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so we've had some comments. That was a long little rant that I did. So CB says, I had my fingers, toes, and eyes crossed for a 3-year renewal. You have no idea how many times I tripped over and bumped into things. Well, sorry to keep you in that state for so long, but thank you. Let's see. Brockman says, sounds like these could also be helpful steps in vetting applications by meeting the real people behind the business applications. Could be good signs. Now, I actually wish that we had an opportunity to meet immigration. We really don't. We see a desk clerk, and there's no...
there's no back and forth, you know, back and forth, and there's no... there's no opportunity to appeal, and we have no idea.
There's no feedback.
We have no idea what we could do differently.
Yeah. So it would be really, really nice if we had like a case manager. Maybe each renewal we had the same person, or we could ask questions of immigration and things like that. But so our immigration lawyer creates our application and submits it online, and they make a decision before we even go into the office. So it would actually be really nice to be able to meet an immigration employee every time we renew and sort of talk in person. But unfortunately, that doesn't get to happen. It's all done online and on paper. But yes, I agree with your point that it could be helpful in vetting as well. Marcus says, yeah, you would think they would have sussed out the paper businesses that way. Yeah, I think they will. I think the first thing that is going to happen, I've been talking with a new online friend from Shikoku, and she is a Japanese woman with a foreign spouse, and they're also going through the renewal process. She sent me some very detailed and helpful emails with her perspective as a Japanese national who also has to deal with the immigration process because spouse visas, even though they have children together and are married and living in Japan, he still has to reapply every year.
I gotta say something. EP, I'm sensitive to your concerns, but I'm gonna have to delete your comment, and we can't use the C word on this channel.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about politics or specific countries on this live chat, so sorry that we are going to delete that comment.
It's fine. It's fine for NHK to use the C word because they don't have any visa concerns, but
yeah. And I'm sorry that I didn't lay out the ground rules at the very beginning of this video. I did that the last 2 months and everyone was, there was no problems. We are, this...
Well, we don't have to go
Okay.
on. We're fully aware of all of that stuff going on, and it is a pressing concern, and we do agree with a lot of what's, we agree with a lot of the concerns, but yeah, we're trying to talk about ways to just move forward for people dealing with this stuff right now in Japan.
Yeah, so we're not, there's many spaces out there that we can go talk about. You're more than welcome to have opinions and talk about politics and the why this is happening, and if there are specific whatever causing this, but we're just trying to focus, we're setting ourselves apart from those spaces, and we're just trying to focus on our experience and the official guidelines laid out by immigration. So we're trying to, rather than talk about why, we're trying to figure out, let's figure out a way forward. EP, nothing against you. Please continue to comment, but just please keep that in mind. So you are welcome in this chat, but sorry about that. What were we talking about?
You were going through the comments and you're responding to Marcus, and yeah, let's just move on to the next section.
Okay. Julie, Marcus. Yeah, okay. Next, well, that's it for our wrap up of October. We've got, a little bit into the visa discussion here, but so since our last live stream is when the official announcements took place. So I guess it's been a little over, just under 3 months since, first it was leaked in the media, and then immigration put out a tentative announcement of these might be the changes. And then they announced that they were going to have a public opinion period for a certain period of time where anyone, as long as they followed the guidelines of submission, could submit their opinion. Then I believe it was October 10th, they announced the final changes after reading everyone's opinions. And I believe it was October 16th, they gave it a week, and they said in a week the new requirements will be official. So there's a couple different situations for people right now. So what we understand is anyone who had their applications in or was a current visa holder prior to October 16th will be given the 3-year grace period. Anyone who applies on October 16th or later is going to be held to the new standard immediately. So between now and October 2028, there's going to be a slight difference in business manager visa holders in whether, well, did you apply or have your visa prior to October 2025? Are you held, are you in the grace period, or did you receive it after October 16th, 2025, and you're already held to the new rules? So those of us who were already here and working under the previous rules, and those of you who got your applications in prior to the changes being enforced, it's our understanding that everyone is going to fall under the 3-year grace period. And we are assuming, we don't know for sure, but we believe that everyone that falls in that before category is going to, probably everyone will get 1-year visa renewals, at which time you have to demonstrate progress towards the new goal. Got some comments.
Well, yeah, so Kazi K, do you think that after a year or two they will readdress the capital requirements again? And then Natalie says she's holding out hope that they will absorb all the feedback around rural business startups and come up with a new category with a focus on making it more feasible.
Anything's possible.
I think that they have to. I think that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world geopolitics wise, and what the effect. I'm going to talk about just the effect of this a little bit later on, just briefly, but the effect of this is absolutely going to cause them to lose all of the incoming, a very large part of the incoming capital that they were basically slated to receive, right? Because we are involved in consulting with businesses that want to come here, and I mean, we went from a good sideline business doing that to zero. Mm-hmm. And I don't see that I don't see that recovering in the near future, okay? But that's income that we receive and then we pay in taxes that they lost.
Oh, Natalie wanted to start a cafe in Setoda. Oh, man.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And it's it's one of those things where it's like, you can have whatever opinion you want about the type of people that you want in your community, but you need to have the money to be able to enforce that. So there's a cost, there's trade-offs involved in all this, and I think that it is my opinion, but I think the cons far outweigh the pros in this, and I think that's going to come back to bite them in many, many ways. And yeah, in 3 years is a long time in international relations, and I think we're going to see something coming down the pike that's going to be more hopeful. But as it stands, it's going to be difficult for a business to justify the risk of trying to establish itself here.
Yeah, but 3 years is a long time. It's a long time for, the visa requirements to adjust. It's a long time for, maybe some pushback and then some changes. It's a long time for miracles to happen. So,
Yeah, and Edgar says current businesses will also be affected. Yeah, current businesses.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute.
So those are those questions. Let's.
Well, and Natalie, I want to talk to Natalie for a minute here.
Okay.
So she says, so Natalie, I apologize if we've spoken before, Natalie, but I'm not. It's not ringing a bell. So sometimes people talk to me like on Facebook or Instagram and YouTube or email, and then every different platform has a different name, and it's really hard to keep everyone straight. So Natalie, I'm sorry if we've talked before, and you were going to be a potentially new island neighbor. So Setoda, for those who don't know, is a
it's the hipster
I would call it,
neighborhood.
it's the hipster neighborhood of Ōmishima. It's the next island over, and it's really becoming a hip little area for tourism. It's really a cute area. We've helped our local realtor do tours of properties there, and we helped a couple purchase a property there, and hopefully they will be starting a restaurant in Seitoda soon. So Natalie is saying no rentals there, so no housing for staff. That's interesting. I didn't know that there were no property rentals there. There are apartments on Ōmishima, which is just across the bridge. So that might be something to look into if you're still looking for solutions. I know for sure the apartments on Ōmishima, I mean, they rent for like $200 or $300. And some of the apartments on Ōmishima are in our neighborhood and owned by our contractor, who is.
Yeah, so you could commute, but the bridge tolls to the next island over is only like $3, I think. You can ride for free on a 50cc scooter.
A scooter,
but it's a ways because Seitoda is on the other side of the island from the bridge, so it's like 45 minutes from here.
But she says it would be a husband and wife duo, cafe at the front, minpaku at the back, showcasing local ingredients.
Many such cases.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's too expensive to start up. We would not make enough for a full-time
I don't mean many
staff.
such cases as in like your idea is commonplace. I mean many such cases in that many people are.
Many people are having they had their business
dreams
plan
shuttered.
ready, and now they can't.
That's
Now,
a really
I do want to, this is, you.
That's a really good point though about your staff not having rentals, not having a place to rent because that's just I hadn't thought about that. Because in the rural area, of course, we have a staff shortage. It's hard to find people, but then also to have places for those people to live. That's another thing I hadn't considered. So. Mm-hmm.
Now, one other thing I wanted to say, Natalie, that not necessarily in regards to you specifically, if you've already decided that you're not going to pursue it, but just for everyone, just a general note for the startup visa. So, no changes have been announced to the startup visa in the last few months. All of the startup visa changes were announced just under a year ago. So this is one thing that we've been thinking about is, well, how do the business manager visa changes also affect the startup visa changes without any sort of announcement being made? So my theory is that the business manager visa changes requiring, 30 million yen and a full-time staff immediately is going to potentially funnel more people to the startup visa program, which is what Japan specifically said a year ago that it wanted people to do. It wanted more people in the startup program. So, if you remember, about a year ago, they announced that over the course of 2025, the startup visa program was going to go from about 20 cities throughout Japan to nationwide. And it was also going to expand from 6 months. Some of the locations gave you a year. And it was going to expand to renewable for up to 2 years. Whatever that means. And so my theory is that you can't start a business in the countryside and just immediately have a full-time staff. So they're going to direct you to the startup program, and the startup program is going to give you 6 months, a year, 18 months, or 2 years to meet the new business manager visa guidelines. So does that mean that you could, in order to not have a full-time staff immediately, go through the startup program, and then when you are ready to graduate from the startup program to the business manager visa, is that the point that you then hire staff? Is that how you get the buffer, the more time that you need to get your business going, get it ready, get it to the point where it makes sense to pay a full-time employee? We don't know for sure. And we have a bunch of questions. Our buddy Darren sent in a bunch of questions, and that's sort of answering one of his. So we'll get into a lot more of that in a little bit.
And just though, to push back on what you're saying a little bit, you were saying about the new 30 million yen requirements. Mm-hmm. We, for our startup visa, had to show our 5 million yen requirement, meeting our 5 million yen requirement before we were awarded that startup visa
Yes.
from Imabari City.
Yes, and
Well-
that was an unofficial sort of.
So we have the question of, do you need to have that 30 million yen before you're accepted into the startup visa program now? And
We don't know.
We don't know. And Danny's speculating, which is fine. We don't have any evidence that the startup visa program and the business manager visa program are communicating. So I feel like they're not. She's saying they might be, and they might be, but it makes sense. It makes a certain amount of sense, but unfortunately, there's no communication coming out. So
Okay, we got to go through some comments here. So
let's hey, guys, we're gonna answer the comments that are here, and then we're gonna go to our friend Darren's comments that we have in questions that we have in an email, and then we're gonna go back to
Okay.
the chat. Okay.
okay,
So Kazi says, I'm trying to work on an agricultural focused startup in about 3 years, but I'm not sure if I can scrape together more than $150,000 capital, and planning to hire college grads. I feel like our plan has been agriculture, and we are going to shift away from that because there's a lot of reasons. I don't think that I need to get into all of them now, but I think that we're going to keep doing agriculture as they say, a loss leader. I think that we're going to shift towards Edgar's here. He's going to be a potential business partner for us. We're going to shift to potentially importing raw materials, raw ingredients, and making a product that we sell here. But the agriculture bit it's really hard to talk to officials about it because people just sort of don't get the issues around like natural farming, organic farming. They don't really understand why that's important, and licensing and you have to have a farmer's license to buy farmland here. There's a ton of stuff. So I feel like agriculture is off the books with this new requirement. Mm-hmm. So then Marcus says he was gonna.
we're not shifting away from agriculture completely. Just to be clear, it's not going to be like a equal third leg of our business. So it's probably just going. It's
a long term. It's just shifting to a longer term. So we're gonna keep doing bees. We're gonna plant some lime trees.
Yeah, we're gonna look into doing some orchards, which is the thing to do on our island. So we may or may not be getting a little bit more farmland in the near or far future, and so we would be looking at agriculture that is less day-to-day time consuming and more like growing some groves of things such as possibly avocados and limes and Mexican food ingredients.
Yes. So we'll skip these because these guys are talking
Yeah,
amongst
Marcus
themselves.
was talking about his cafe in Ōmishima, which I think is a great idea.
Darren is here. Good to see you, Darren. We're gonna answer your questions in a bit
Darren,
here. So.
yeah, we got a note right here. Darren's questions.
So the new regulations for capital plus employee salary seem prohibitive to a small startup. That level implies medium sized. Yeah, and sort of ironically, we felt like we were sort of misusing the startup visa program when we started, and the business manager visa program. It did seem like to us it was already geared towards like a franchise
businesses.
However, since we've been here and since we've been talking to so many people, we are realizing that it's really people like us. It's really almost like a manifest destiny. I know that's an American history thing, but it's a type of a thing where someone with not a lot of money could come in and help to revitalize and build something that was like not really there before. So that it is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And then
not that we were misusing the visa because they accepted our business plan.
Yeah, no one
that,
thinks that, but yeah.
But that it was already more designed for medium-sized businesses and up, and now they're just sort of making that more official.
Okay, and so they keep talking about different countries, which is very interesting.
Edgar has an interesting comment that says, on that topic, speaking of the startup plan and the staff, it's likely that now startup visa holders will need to push for those 2 years that you can extend it by. And I agree, especially with the staff requirement. So being able to push the startup period for as long as you can is probably going to be very helpful and necessary.
Yeah, but then again, it's risky. If you're counting on the 2 years, you're not guaranteed it. So that you're only guaranteed 6 months. Okay, you have to renew that each time. And now the Japanese mindset is a bit different, where they maybe don't have a problem with that. Maybe we're sort of reading too much into it, and the Japanese immigration is, that's the problem. We just want to look at your application every year to make sure, or in this case, every 6 months. Maybe as Westerners, it's a cultural difference where they're sort of, why are you so worried about it? Why what if you don't have anything to hide? Why would you be concerned, right? Maybe that's going on, but it's a risk.
Well, my question is, who decides if they want to extend or not, or if they need to extend? So, since the new, we don't know anyone yet who's on the new startup program. The couple here on the island who received the startup program that we're going to do the whole series of videos, they're some of the very last people ever to be accepted in the old startup program. So they'll be going through the exact same program that we did, that is only 6 months, because of the timing of their application and the way that the program is shifting. So we are only one small example in Imabari City. Evan was the very first startup visa ever issued in Imabari City.
And they're the last.
A couple years later, these guys are the second and final. So it's us and it's them in the entirety of Imabari City's startup visa program. And so after these guys, they made the cutoff, and now the program is shifting to the new nationwide program, which means it's being removed from Imabari and transferred to Ehime Prefecture's capital city, which is Matsuyama. So it's a really interesting time, and some cities started the new program right away. Well, sort of, like mid 2025 by summer. And some are still like pushing it off until that December 31st deadline. And then by January 1st of 2026, the program is going to be nationwide in every prefecture, most likely based in the capital city.
Okay, Natalie's got a great comment and question here. So, yeah, so it's risky to hire staff in areas where there's not a lot of staff to hire, right? Risky, and that's a great point. Not only is it difficult, but it's risky because their residency is not something you can count on for. It's like if I was an English teacher in Japan and I get that my residency is dependent on my job, right? If I get fired, I get kicked out of the country. Somewhat, but in our case, now, if our employee quits, we can get kicked out of the country.
Well, we don't know that for sure, and that's one of Darren's questions.
Right, and this is why I'm making these hand gestures to say there's a lot going on here, but let's just kind of keep that in mind.
There's a lot of questions. There's a lot that's not. Immigration did answer many questions with their announcement, but there's still a lot of uncertainty as to that.
Yeah, okay. And then so then she asks, is the 30 million yen to be the same value of investment over time? So here's the way it works. It's an initial capital investment. So you need to have, in our case, for our 5 million yen initial capital investment, we had to have a snapshot of our Japanese bank account with 5 million yen as the balance, okay? So but over time, when you renew, the expectation is that you're supposed to have the business continue at that valuation. Okay, so with depreciation, that valuation goes down, and with spending, that goes down, and with income, you have to balance those things out by keeping it at 5 million yen. That's the idea, and
not cash though. It doesn't have to be cash.
Right,
it's a combination of cash and assets. But as she mentions here, and as you said, assets decrease in value over time. So, first of all, so I want to say, so the next comment down, that music guy, he says, according to someone I know who's on the startup visa in Gifu, they didn't need to show the capital until they apply for the business manager visa.
Okay.
So just to say real quick, so we don't know if that's the new or the old program. So that is probably the old program, and that's probably what there used to be. Each city was in charge of their own program, and they would have different workflow. Everyone that we talked to going through it in like Osaka and bigger cities like Tokyo going through the startup program was a very different experience than us in Imabari City. So we did, at the very beginning, part of our initial startup visa application was to include printouts from our American bank account showing that we had the equivalent of 5 million yen minimum in US dollars in our bank account. And that was before we even were accepted into the startup visa program. So that was before we got their stamp of approval and then applied to immigration. So one of the very first things we had to do was prove that we had 5 million yen equivalent. Then everything that Evan just said, when we transitioned from the startup to business manager, that's when we had to show that we had funded our Japanese corporation with the 5 million yen officially. So it's one of the big questions is now, with these changes, at what point under the new startup program will people have to show that they have 30 million yen somewhere in their personal bank account that's their money in order to fund their business? We the answer to that.
Okay, I think that's a good place to go to Darren's questions.
Actually, I would like to just talk briefly about very quick. I would just like to, because we haven't covered what we're going to be doing in November. So first, I mentioned earlier that we are going to be taking a little bit of some downtime, and that it just includes one thing that we're going to do to sort of regroup and get started. Is we're going to just temporarily close the online honey shop. We're going to focus on just having the sales here at the Ōmishima and the Hakatajima Michinoekis. So the online honey shop will close from tomorrow night, October 27th, Japan time, and then it'll reopen on November 15th. So if anybody wants honey before November 15th, please get your order in the next day. And we're just going to take a little bit of a breather for a bit and regroup. So the next thing we're going to do is to start planning dates for our construction for the subsidy approval. So that has been approved, and we're going to set some dates to get that going. We might do a little bit early in November, some in December, and then January and February will be the majority of the construction. So it's going to be a busy winter, and by the time next spring gets here, Benton Guesthouse will have a second toilet room, additional storage for towels and other things, a pass-through side exit to the future barbecue space. We will have drainage around the future retro shop, which is the garage at Benton Guesthouse, which is a separate structure. We're going to have new parking spaces, a fixed driveway, an expanded driveway, and hopefully also a new roof on the retro shop. We'll have done all the remodeling inside, and hopefully by next spring our retro shop will be open. Yes, so November we're going to start planning the construction dates for that, what dates we need to block off the guest house. Currently we have all of February blocked off because that's our slowest month, but we might also block off some of January as well. And because the weather's nice, I really might start working on the mural on the outside of our honeybee workshop. I know that's obviously like a pretty low priority, but as soon as I started it and got everything ready to start painting it, it was so hot, and then it was so hot for so long that the paint was just drying on my paint tray, and it was just, as soon as I poured the paint, it was just drying, and I could not have worked on it this summer even if we had time. So before it gets too cold in January and February, I might work on the mural in November and December, so wish me luck.
And of course, we're going to begin planning our strategy for meeting new goals. So we're going to meet with our professional team that includes our immigration lawyer, our accountant, and our business consultant. And they're great guys. You know, they've gotten us this far. We've already had some initial discussions with some of them individually about ideas for how to move forward. And yes, we are going to work our hardest to try and meet these new goals over the next 3 years. So our strategy might include things like, of course, fundraising, but also we might be looking for some investors. We might be doing some crowdfunding for very specific projects that would then bring additional income into our business. And the main factor will be certifying additional income as paid in startup capital, which is what it needs to be. So at the end of this 3-year grace period, we don't just need 30 million yen in our bank account done. We need to have our corporate documents need to show 30 million yen of paid in capital. And they currently show 5 million yen of paid in capital. So there's some sort of, I'm not a finance person.
So, let's just underline that. So this is a big point that we learned from our accountant recently, is that there's essentially some process for converting the money that we've already paid in expenses in improving the business. There's a way for converting that to the initial to mean that's the initial investment. Okay, so and that means we've already contributed 7 million above the 5 million.
Possibly. So we're not sure. And then also future income that we make. Of course, you know, after expenses, this has to be income that's in our bank account. It's possible that that can be certified as paid in capital. It's like earmarked, or there's some sort of process that he does. So we don't fully understand it yet, and we're not fully ready to share that information. But of course, that's part of what we'll be doing in November, is getting all of that straightened out and getting a game plan for the next 3 years. So that's a lot. And now, Evie, let's please move over to Darren's questions, unless we have other comments.
Oh, we got a lot of comments, so we're going to do Darren's questions first.
Okay.
Darren's questions. And so I don't know how we want to do this because we have the actual revisions pulled up. So.
Can you put a link to that in the comments?
I think so.
So let's.
I watched Tron.
What? So Evan is sharing a link here. This is Japan's immigration's
I just hacked the internet.
Official visa announcements for the changes to the business manager visa.
Then we don't have to just read it, right? We can actually, if we have to refer to it, we can. But we don't have to just go through and read it, right?
I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do this. We've got an hour, so we'll see.
Okay, well, Darren's questions. He sent this. Thanks for your questions, Darren. I'm glad you were able to make it. I know you're busy. So question number 1, do you have to actually employ someone prior to the business manager visa being issued? And if not, how much time is allowed between the visa issue date and the employee's start date?
We don't know. We have no idea. Because we are coming from the grace period portion of those with business manager visas, we have until, quote, our first renewal after the October 16, 2028 deadline to meet the new goals. So for us, it's also sort of up in the air because, say for example, we continue to get 1 year. So we can apply around the last week of September 2028. Does that mean that we need to meet the new October 16 goals? If we get one more renewal the last week of September, we don't know. So is it possible that we could actually get 4 years? 4 1-year visas? We don't know.
I mean, that's my reading, right? But we don't know.
But we don't know. And we wouldn't,
necessarily want to rely on that. We have the October 2028 goal in our mind, and we also have the addendum that they've said that you have to make reasonable progress each year towards the goal without outlining what reasonable progress means specifically. So we're not even sure at what point we will be required to hire a full-time employee, but at the very latest, for us, it would be October 2028. For you, because you'll be a new applicant, we don't know the answer to that question. And I'm not even sure that immigration lawyers might not know the answer to that question yet. So, very good question. And our answer is that we don't know.
So it sounds like, though, in our case, we will have to have an employee by October 2028.
At the
And
latest,
the question would just be, will we have to have had an employee for a year or something like that by October 28? Because that's a big difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's the thing. And the thing with the startup visa is the idea is you're supposed to have all of this stuff in place so that when you get the business manager visa, the understanding is your business might not be profitable yet, but it's in place, okay?
Yeah. So Darren, if you go the startup route, you could have 6, 12, 18, or 24 months to, you would probably, again, here we're getting into areas that we don't know the actual answer to because it's all new and it's not even all announced yet, is you'll probably have the whole startup period, and then 90 days before you go to business manager visa is your window to apply for the extension from startup to business manager. And probably at that point, when you make your application, is when you have to have a full-time employee and you have to provide evidence of that. So you probably are going to be using the startup visa period to get them enrolled, set up in your auto pay or whatever. We had to go through the enrollment process for Benton Homestead to pay for Evan's pension and Social Security and health care. And so businesses will also have to do that for employees. So my guess is that by the end of the startup period, you would have had to hired and have set your business up to be paying that employees everything. Does that make sense? Do you agree?
Well, and on top of that, we have to redo our business plan because we were not planning on hiring a full-time employee.
Yet.
Well, yet, for sure, but also our business plan is so spread out in terms of income streams that we can't justify hiring a full-time employee, right? Because we can't justify someone to pay full-time to clean the guest house. We can't justify hiring someone full-time to take care of the bees. It's basically multiple part-time employees is what we were looking at doing. Mm-hmm. That was our business plan, okay? Mm-hmm. So now
And our pool of potential employees are mostly looking for part-time.
Yes, and that gets into Darren's next question and what Natalie was saying before.
Mm-hmm.
But so you have to now, in your business plan, come up with a plan for something for a full-time employee to do to make you money. Mm-hmm. That is a requirement for the new business plan because you can't just throw that money away. You have to actually be using that to make money for your business. So let's just think about that. And then so the next question, what if you can't find someone to hire? There's typically a labor shortage in rural areas. So, we talked about that. I think don't have anything else to say about that.
I have something to say about that.
Sure.
If you can't find someone to hire, that's one of our biggest questions. I don't think we've answered that at all because first and foremost, we haven't outlined all of the changes in this live stream yet. Because for us, the only two changes that we need to make are the 30 million yen and hiring a full-time employee. So for us, obviously the most daunting and the most difficult challenge to meet will be somehow obtaining an additional 25 million of paid-in capital. And then we'll figure out how to hire an employee. That seems, but it is also a concern because, as Darren pointed out in his question, and as Ed, I don't know. Where are we going to get a full-time employee?
My thought was that we would have to entice someone to move here.
Possibly.
That was what
Possibly.
I was envisioning happening because I live here and I see, I see what it's like here. And that was including for us partly hiring someone from overseas since we speak English, right? So we one of our strengths as a business is that since we speak English, we are able to draw from a much wider pool of applicants, including like skilled workers such as beekeepers. And now we can't do that. We have to specifically hire someone who's Japanese, who is going to be a low income worker, because that's all we can afford. So we have to find something.
Well, we have to hire either a Japanese national
Or someone who speaks
or a
Japanese.
permanent, not someone who speaks Japanese. We have to hire a Japanese national or a permanent resident or the spouse of a Japanese national or the spouse of a permanent resident. And for us, because thank goodness Evan just passed the N2, we don't have to worry about whether or not that person has a Japanese language ability, because Evan has the Japanese language ability. But for many other people, the language requirement, immigration has specified that the Japanese language skill requirement can be met by their employee. So of course, if we hire a Japanese national, they're going to have
Japanese language.
Japanese language skills. But for us, that's not needed because we already meet that requirement. But it's also most likely that it seems most likely to me that the employee that we hire is going to be a Japanese national.
Yes.
Or the spouse of a Japanese national.
Well, if you had gone through the trouble as a foreigner of getting permanent residency in Japan, by that point you're either making a lot of money or you're potentially retired and you're looking for a retirement job,
Yeah.
which is not going to be full time.
And you're not going to want to be cleaning a guest house or, maybe you want to be a beekeeper or maybe you want to make hot sauce, but you're not going to want to be, I'm not going to be able to hire a full-time housekeeper.
Right. Now, another question on the same train of thought. What if your employee leaves? How long do you get before you must hire someone else?
We don't know.
We don't know? We did talk about that already, so unless you have something to add, I think we can...
No.
Okay, can you hire your spouse?
No.
Unless she meets the above stated requirements?
Oh, unless your spouse is a Japanese national, at which point you would not be applying for the business manager visa. You would be here on a spouse visa. Mm-hmm. So almost certainly no, you can't hire your spouse.
Yeah, so clearly the intent of the regulation as written is to get foreigners to hire Japanese people, which I essentially agree with. I want to create reasons for people to move to Ōmishima and have good jobs here. I want to be able to pay people well to provide a service to the community. That's a stated goal for both of us.
For sure. Yeah.
So we are online with that. It's just kind of get out of my way and let me do that, basically.
Question 5 from Darren is, what are the minimum mandatory additional employee costs other than salary? For example, pension, health insurance, etc. Yes, both of those, and the amount each month is going to depend on their salary. So if they have a higher salary, the cost of the pension and health insurance is higher. If they have a lower salary, the cost of the pension and health insurance.
Another point with that is that you're going to have, as Natalie mentioned and as Darren mentioned, with not being able to find people locally if you're in a rural area. Essentially, as an employer, you're going to be paying part of those costs to relocation costs, right? You're probably going to be helping the employee to find housing. I mean,
I don't know.
Just another thing to think about, like if I'm asking someone to move somewhere to, like, typically that's what you would do, right? Like I worked at Yellowstone National Park for a summer. I didn't rent. Yellowstone gave me a dorm room to sleep in, and they they made my food. I ate in a criteria. So that's the type of thing when you're moving somewhere to work. Typically, the employer is going to foot those costs. So if you're in a rural area, that you know someone's
Yeah, possibly. And I guess that's what one of our neighborhood restaurants was trying for a while.
That's true. That's true.
Without giving people's information out, she had was trying to entice some full-time staff who came and visited from one of the big cities for a while, and she was providing them a place to stay. So yeah, I suppose that's true, especially when you're in a area so far from the cities with such a small pool of potential employees.
And just to the point, she's to this point in time, she's had trouble with that.
She's had difficulty finding and maintaining a full-time staff person. So I also anticipate, based on observing that experience, that we may also have difficulty finding and retaining a full-time staff person. There's people on the island who want part-time jobs, but everybody already has 1 or 2 or 3 part-time jobs. So in order for us to get a full-time person who's already living on Ōmishima, they probably have to leave their other part-time jobs.
Yeah, I don't think
that's not great.
There's not a lot of unemployment here for sure. Guys, you're not helping us. They're helping us. It's good to talk this out, but just realizing more concerns. What constitutes the 30 million yen capital? Can it be a mix of all cash, or can it be a mix of cash and assets?
We sort of already answered that. If you have follow-up questions, let us know. But the short version is that the beginning, it has to be cash. It has to be certified as paid in capital. And after that point, it can be a mix of cash and assets that you have used the paid in capital to purchase. Last of Darren's questions before we get back to all the comments that have probably been coming in. Number 7, regarding the startup visa, the validity of the visa, as you know, has gone from a flat 6 months or 1 year to, quote, between 6 months and 2 years, renewable. Do you know how this length of stay is determined? For example, a startup company gets 18 months, furniture business may get the whole 2 years, etc.
It's 6 months at a time, up to 2 years, right?
We think it's 6 months. It might begin with 1 year, and then it is, quote, renewable up to 2 years. So it's our understanding that you're going to... We also sort of don't know. This is also a question that we don't have all the information, so I cannot answer you with certainty how that's going to work. And I've asked our immigration lawyer this, and I've asked a couple other professionals this, and they also don't know the answer to this, because the program is still rolling out. So once the program is officially in place and operating nationwide as of January 1st, 2026, that question will probably be a little bit easier to answer. So...
Then I have some points that I made that address some of these comments that we've gotten. So I'm gonna go to the points that I wanted to make, and then we're just gonna spend the rest of the time on comments.
Okay. Sounds good.
So these are the couple points that I made that I just wish I had thought of when we had the initial question, the initial request for public comments that weren't in my mind at the time that I've realized since. So. First point is we are, under the business manager visa, we are required to make more money than the average Japanese person. And the way that breaks down is, for the visa application, we had to come up with a salary for me to draw to support us as part of the business. And that was determined by looking at the average salary, the average income for our area. So that's not all of Japan, but it's just Ehime Prefecture. But so we start at the 50% line, and then that just gets adjusted up annually with each renewal. So we're in the top 50th percentile for Japanese people just by default. And then as a 5 million yen business, that's not huge, okay? But 30 million yen, what does that look like in comparison to the Japanese economy, okay? Now, just to share an anecdote, because I saw Edgar makes this point too. Just an anecdote. from speaking to the bank manager recently about our loan for our subsidy, I asked him, how many businesses on Ōmishima do you think are worth 30 million yen? He said, probably none. Okay?
We'll be the first.
So now granted it's complicated because we're talking about just initial capital, and nobody has just initial capital sitting around. The way a business works is it builds it up in assets, right? So it is different, but we're required to be one of the biggest businesses on the island. That's a requirement, okay? So the Japanese government is, the takeaway message here is that the Japanese government is inviting foreigners to come here and outcompete locals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think that my main concern there is just we want to integrate into the community, and that's going to immediately set up some tension between us and the people around us if they understand that concern.
Yeah, it hasn't yet though. Like, I don't know. I mean, when we've talked to, so as the changes were uncertain, you know, we've spoken to most of our friends here on the island are Japanese people who own small businesses on this island. And I say small business because almost all of them exclusively are one person or a husband and wife running their entire business. And when we've told them, like, these are the proposed changes for us to continue living here and keep running our business, we have to increase our capital by 600%. And most of the initial response was, there's no way they're going to do that. You guys are going to be totally fine. Like, no. You guys are already here under these rules. It's not going to change. And, you know, we didn't know. There was a period of just not knowing what was going to happen. And now that it's official, it's been like really heartwarming to see a lot of their responses. So one person in particular who's a you know, high standing in the community business owner, it was just a really stressful day, and I read his message and just got tears in my eyes because he said, you guys have only been here a short time, but you have already become integral pieces of Ōmishima. You're important to the community here on Ōmishima. And then he said, I'm going to the bank today. Shall I talk to them about this? And then multiple times he said, we are all going to figure out a way for the Bentons to stay here. We are going to find a solution for the Bentons. So that was just like, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen over the next 3 years, but we have the support of our community, and that is just like, you know, it's
Feels good, man.
yeah, it's like the only thing keeping me going. Like, that is put a carrot at the end of the stick, you know. So
Yeah,
I don't know where I was going with that. I'm sorry. That's
she's a little verklempt. Talk amongst yourself.
yourself.
Okay, the second point is trust. If they raised the requirements once, they'll raise them again. Okay, so imagine you have that 30 million yen capital and it's no problem. Great, but what do you get for that 30 million yen? Okay, so compare that to the claim that was made that Japan's business manager visa was cheap in comparison to Korea's or other countries. Okay, so the question is, what do you get for that initial capital investment? Okay, if you have so at this point, just all things being equal, if you've got the money to put into two different countries and one country has always stayed the same, the other country has changed, which one do you go to? Okay, and another thing is, with this process and the total lack of back and forth and transparency, okay, if you have one country that has back and forth with you where you're able to actually speak to immigration and make your case, and you know what's going to get you the 1 year, the 3 year, the 5 year, or the permanent residency, and the other country doesn't, which one do you go through? So that's that point. And if you don't have anything to respond to that, we can just go right back to where we were at.
Yep, that's what I'm working on.
I had
Just
it
give
pulled
me a
up.
minute. Yep,
It's this one, bankruptcies. That was where we ended up. Okay, so we're all the way back at Fiona. She read recently that small business bankruptcies are at an all-time high. So already hard, even for the Japanese. And that I just wanted to.
Yeah, bankruptcies in Japan are at an all-time high. There's still, there was an article over a year ago now saying that within the next 5 years, something like,
Oh, you're talking retiring, aren't you? Weren't you talking about people closing their businesses?
That's what I was going to say,
Yeah.
yes. There's an article that says a certain number of Japanese businesses are going to close because the owners will either pass away or retire within the next X number of years, and it was just a staggering number of businesses that had no plan for succession. They weren't either going to have anyone take over their business, so when they retire, the businesses will close instead of being transferred to someone else. So there's a lot going on right now.
Okay, so we got so many questions. I think we'll try and go through quickly. Next point, Edgar says he found that most registered businesses started in Japan with 10 to 15 million yen.
He's looking at registered businesses in Japan related to imports, because that's something that we've been talking with Edgar about. So most registered businesses in Japan related to import register the business with 10 to 15 million yen. So that's 1/3 or 1/2 of what we will be expected to meet. So Edgar goes on to say, I wonder, is 30 million yen even a medium-sized business anymore? That's a really good question. I mean,
It's graded on a curve, right?
what does that mean?
Well, it means you can't just have a monetary cutoff of saying this is constitute small, medium, large. It has to be in comparison to other businesses.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, well, next, Natalie has a great point. The Shimanami Kaido is massively on the up, and we can testify to that. We live here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've mentioned before that last year we were invited to a presentation by, was it Matsuyama University?
Yeah, Ehime University.
Ehime University. They came to Hakatajima Island and did a presentation about the Shimanami Kaido tourism. This was a year ago, but at that point, I wish I had copies of their slides from the presentation, because they had really, really amazing data that they got from the cycling companies and from rentals on the island. So the bridges have only been here for 20 to 25 years, I think. All the bridges have been connected. The Shimanami Kaido has been a thing for 25 years, once the last bridge was built. And they had statistics dating back to the very first year, and it was just like a hockey stick. The tourism of cyclists here. But what I really appreciated from that presentation was the data from the cycling companies showing which direction cyclists like to go, but based on the day they rent their bicycle and the day they return their bicycle, which direction from Imabari to Ōmishima or in between, and also, they had breakdowns of demographics by country and just all kinds of things. But the main point was that the tourism was just increasing exponentially. So I think you're absolutely right. And I saw there's a bunch of comments about popular Japan content YouTubers doing the Shimanami Kaido. Totally unaware of that. I don't really know or have anything to say about that, but I see that you guys are in the comments
You guys have YouTube?
talking about that. So that's great. Shimanami Kaido is continuing to get even more attention. Natalie says, I'm hoping to get to stay at Benton Homestead in March, going to scope out areas. It's such a great location, stunning views. Love the Shimanami. That would be awesome. We look forward to meeting you, Natalie, especially now that we know that you're possibly going to be an island neighbor or at least interested in this area. So please, before you make your reservation, just reach out to me first. To make sure that it's a good time, so when you're staying here that we can also connect. Maybe we'll go to dinner or something while you're here. So look forward to that in March. We will definitely be here. We should be wrapping up our construction and renovations by that point. So yes, that's exciting. Thanks for letting us know. Let's see. You guys are talking here. I'm just reading the comments. I also know that what we are saying right now has quite a bit of a delay. It looks to be like, again, it's a couple of a minute delay. So I'm just going to pause here and read some comments while the time for the live video is catching up. So Natalie says, I saw on NHK a video of how they're looking into reducing the allowed maximum night stays amount for Minpaku due to nuisance behaviors. Do you know anything about that? So first of all, yes, Bosco, hey buddy, let's get you another treat.
We're not a Minpaku, first of all.
So
we're a ryokan. So we don't have any limit on the number of days that someone can stay at our house.
So first of all, the Minpaku is limited to 180 days, and we have a ryokan license, which means that we can rent out the entire year. And it's my understanding that in some specific major cities like Osaka, they are looking at restricting the Minpaku even more, such as potentially 90 days. But as far as I know, none of that has been made official, but I would not be surprised at all, especially Osaka has made a number of restrictions on their rentals. Specifically, Minpakus specifically in Osaka and Tokyo seem to be quite difficult, but we don't obviously have any experience in that at all. So we did get our Minpaku license when we started, so we're familiar with that process, and then we quickly realized that we needed to change to the ryokan license, and that I would say it was a more difficult license to get in that the application was more complicated. But since receiving that license, the reporting to the government is a lot more simplified. And of course, we have no limitations on the number of days that we can keep Benton Guesthouse open. So definitely highly recommend the ryokan license for anyone looking into this. It also just adds some prestige as Minpaku is getting, talked down a lot in the news lately.
And just word on the street, we do not have any nuisance behaviors really that I'm aware of on Ōmishima from the tourists. Mm-hmm. I definitely talked to we have one neighbor, and I kind of have two neighbors of the guest house, and I know that one is just pleased as punch to have people staying there, mm-hmm. and the other, I anytime I see her, which is not every day, but anytime I go down there and been a guest, I say, was the guest loud? I'm sorry that if the guest was loud, and they just say, oh no, never. I never. Sometimes I hear the shower running or something like that, but no, so we don't have any of that.
Definitely not. Yeah.
I kind of suggest that I kind of suspect that a lot of the nuisance tourism reports might be just astroturfing.
I don't know. I have no speculation on that. So moving on to a different subject, CB says perhaps hiring a part-time employee could be considered reasonable progress. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Well, that sounds reasonable to me, right? But you know, the regulations as written does not that would not comply. But we'll see.
And a related topic, Kazi K says, so you can't do multiple part-timers to equal a full-time? We don't know yet. We've got a team meeting later this in November. Will be our first main team meeting to determine exactly what our goals are. But we don't know yet if multiple part-timers will equal a full-time. I sort of doubt it, but that would be nice.
Well, the thing is, right, that a full-timer has additional
Benefits.
benefits and things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Part-timer, you can get away probably without paying as much of the stuff that's required in addition to their capital. Darren agrees with Kazi. He was wondering the same. Everybody has the same questions. We all have the same questions. Kazi says, I was wondering about the N2 requirement. So it's our understanding that, boy, the replay is just way behind what we're actually saying.
Because we were taking comments while we were reading Darren's, so we're still catching up to that.
But usually the replay is only about 15 seconds behind.
Oh, you
This
mean
is
down
about 5 minutes behind. So what you guys are hearing is I don't know why the delay is so long, but it's possibly like 5 to 10 minutes behind. So I'm sorry if the live communication is not as such as it usually is, because the replay is way, way, way behind
We're speaking
what's
to you
actually
from
happened.
the future.
So it's our understanding that the N2 requirement is either the business manager visa needs to have passed the Japanese language proficiency test N2 level, or their employee needs to be at least at that level. So it's just pushing, it's the full-time Japanese national employee would of course meet that requirement because they're going to be at the fluent level. So for us, that's not a concern, but it could be a big concern for others.
And then she says seasonal considerations for employees too. Yeah, that's a concern
That's our
here.
question too. Yeah.
And beekeeping, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we hire a full-time beekeeper, there's going to be nothing for them to do in the winter, so we would have to come up with something else to keep them busy in order to necessitate having a paycheck. Yeah. So Natalie says, I was hoping of maybe doing a higher stay plus contractor. I'm not sure what that sentence means. Sorry, Natalie. Only for the busy periods. Oh, so seasonal. Okay. Maybe I could even see multiple employees during busy periods. Yeah, we could be the same. Yeah, we have very similar understanding here in the Shimanami Kaido. Similar questions ourselves.
Grant Village. That's where I was. I was at Grant Village for the first part of the season, and then when it closed down, I went to Mammoth Hot Springs.
So what are you talking about?
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That's good context. Okay, so Kazi also worked at Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Also only one summer?
It was not great.
Uh-oh, it jumped here.
I can help you. Here, okay, this is where it was.
Okay. So FEC football, again, is bringing up the agricultural aspect. It really seems like agriculture and forestry industries can't qualify under these new rules without being a much bigger company than a small family business. And that seems to be either the intended purpose or an unintended consequence. But yes, it sure seems to be the case.
Come on, buddy.
Here, give him a treat. Natalie says, thanks so much, guys, for doing this with honesty and integrity. It has got to be tough. It really is, but we do enjoy it. But it's you know it's hard to do this, and you know we're sharing every aspect and step by step, and then we also just have to stay positive and optimistic because you know you can't. There's certain things that you know we don't want to discuss, and we want to set ourselves apart. So we appreciate you thanking us for that. Easier for us as we are not going through it like you are, Natalie says. They can be scary questions when it's your livelihood. So yeah, we are going through it, and we've gone through all the emotions the last couple of months, and the last, again, you know, when the announcements were made, and then again when we picked up our visa renewal. So we're going through a lot right now. It's a really challenging time, but we are hoping for the best, and we're going to put a solid plan in place moving forward. And just like the last 3 years, we're just going to continue to be an open book and share all of the data with you guys. So Edgar has a question. The rising tide lifts all boats. What do you believe would be the reaction of Japanese businesses when they see a foreign-owned business doing much better than them?
I think you just answered your own question.
Yeah.
But much better is relative, right? I mean, yeah, 3 million yen versus 1 million yen is probably much better. I would worry about things like if they think that we're wealthy because we're foreign, are they gonna start giving us like just padding their bids if we ask for work to be done, things like that,
Yeah, I mean, yes, so our business is going to have to be valued at 30 million yen. That means that we might be one of the highest valued businesses on the island, but that doesn't mean that we have that money. So yes, I agree, like that would be a concern, that people are going to think that, if we meet these requirements, that suddenly we're wealthy, when we're actually, like not. So that is a good question, but I do think, I mean, a lot of our Japanese friends on the islands are running competitive businesses with us, and it does not seem to be an issue. There's a lot of opportunity for cooperation, and I think the more attention that Ōmishima receives, and the more, like, the better reputation Ōmishima continues to get. Like, when you go to the Shimanami Kaido, you stay on Ōmishima. That's where you spend your couple of days. So you cycle in, spend a couple of days there, spend your tourism money at all the local restaurants and activities to do, go to the neighboring islands from here, stay on Ōmishima, go visit Seitoda, stay on Ōmishima, then go visit Hakatajima. But you stay on Ōmishima and,
use it as a hub and
use it as a hub. And I always say, we get a lot of messages from folks who say, hey, can we meet for coffee or can we meet for dinner when we're passing through Ōmishima? And I always make sure to say, like, yes, of course, if we have time, you're welcome to stay at our guest house, but no obligation. There's many wonderful places to stay on Ōmishima. It would be nice if you stayed at our guest house, but please don't feel obligated. Or it's not available. But, I really do believe that, at least with the Japanese and also, the foreign couple who are moving here and starting 2 guest houses, I really believe that, there's opportunities for us to work together, and the better one of us does, the better we all do.
Something I realized, and I've said this to you before, but I'll say it here, is, first of all, like Danny is saying, in my opinion, we're doing an excellent job working with other businesses. Our feedback from restaurants that we send people to and contractors that we hire to do work on the guest house has been great. Everyone basically appreciates us being here. And I mean, there is, just for the record, there is no like anti-Benton sentiment on
anti-foreigner,
yeah, I was trying not to say that, but so what I have realized though is that as far as the rising tide lifts all boats go, Ōmishima and the whole Shimanami Kaido is like sub-threshold for what it needs to be to really attract to really attract, you know, the tourists that it could. You know, it's not where it could be, but we have so much investment going on with people coming here, like, you know, from other parts of Japan to open businesses, restaurants and things like that. And the sort of, I would say, unstated assumption of all of these entrepreneurs is that other entrepreneurs are also going to come in and fill in the gaps with what needs to be done here, what needs to exist in order for us to meet that threshold. Okay? And essentially, it does not appear to me, based on what we're saying about the economy in Japan, it does not appear that all of that investment is possible just looking at Japan. So in other words, it does seem to me, unstated assumption, that Japanese people are coming here expecting other people to come here and open businesses. Mm-hmm. And a big chunk of those, I'm not going to say how big, I have no idea, but a big chunk of those has to come from foreign investors, foreign entrepreneurs. And now that is a lot harder.
Mm-hmm. But fortunately, Ōmishima specifically, and of course the neighboring islands, is Natalie and Seitoda is the I would say, besides Ōmishima and Seitoda would be the two. Seitoda is a neighborhood and Ōmishima is an island. Those are the two main attraction areas, the main growth areas as far as tourism-based businesses and as far as stopping points for tourists, because those are the two center points of the Shimanami Kaido. So I think it's also just more validation that, you know, 3-4 years ago when we were planning this, we chose a location well, for sure. I mean, Ōmishima is possibly one of the rare rural parts of Japan that is growing. There's lots of young families moving here, lots of young Japanese business owners moving here, lots of young Japanese natural farmers moving here. And Seitoda is really becoming like the hipster area. We couldn't afford to open in Seitoda, but I think it's fabulous. I think we like to visit there, and there's just also many tourists go well out of their way to go to the Seitoda neighborhood and enjoy the wonderful coffee shops and restaurants that are in that area. So, yeah, we got a bunch of questions in a row from Pietro here. So let's just sort of read through this. So we've got 5 comments.
Do we acknowledge the super chat?
Oh, Jacqueline, thank you. Thank you for the super chat, Jacqueline.
Val Kilmer movie night.
Okay. Pietro says, talk to someone who applied for the new national startup visa. The startup help desk said you would normally get 1 year, which you then have to extend if you don't clearly meet the requirements. Showing higher education, business management experience, you would only be granted 6 months. This is on top of meeting the required minimal capital investment, other pre-check requirements. So this is from, I'm reading a comment from Pietro speaking about someone else's experience. So this is third-party information. They also mentioned the new national startup visa still asks for $5 million shown in a bank account at the very start of communicating. That's interesting. That's interesting. Are we sure that's the... Okay, that's interesting. Note, this was before the new revisions for the business manager visa and in contact. Okay, so
this is...
So this was the new startup program, but before the business manager visa changes, they were still only asking for the 5 million yen shown in a foreign bank account. So we're not... So that could have changed, or could be changing. It could change soon. So we're really, thank you for the information. That's very helpful to have someone else's experience going to the new startup visa program. But yes, so now we'll just keep an eye out on whether or not that has any adjustment now that the business manager visa changes have been made. So thank you, Pietro. That is very helpful insight and information to have. Now, Wicked of Oz, this is our new sort of neighbor. He purchased a house. Well, I'm not going to give all your information out, but
It says Nakajima.
Yep. So that's a little island. Do you know where that is?
Nope.
It's north of, or northwest of Matsuyama. And he's from Australia. So not related to the subject and not sure which internet service you use. On Nakajima I use Starlink. And my son says it is super fast and does not interrupt his online gameplay. Our internet's actually really good, so I don't... If
It
that's
seems like it. If we're slow, let me know. Look into it. Oop.
Yeah, I don't... In our first, 10 months of live streams, the live was only delayed by a few seconds. So I don't know why the last 2 months the delay has been so much longer. I don't think it has to do with the strength of our internet because we have super reliable internet. So I'm not sure what the issue is there. I guess because this is the second month in a row that this has happened, I will need to look into it before next month. And speaking of next month's live stream, we are the last Sunday of the month, but for November, the last Sunday of the month we're going to try and do Ōmishima's second American Thanksgiving, and most people are only available on Sundays locally, so we are going to have possibly the last Sunday of November will be our second American Thanksgiving on Ōmishima with our neighbors. So the live stream for November will be moved a week early. So November's live stream will be the second to last Sunday in November, and I actually already have the link to that up and available since it's a different date. So you can already, on our live tab on our channel, you can go click on Notify Me, and you can see that the date for November is one Sunday early. So, also I've had a few comments lately from people that the time of our live streams is inconvenient. So please feel free to let me know if the time has become inconvenient. When we first started this about a year ago, this was the time that was voted on to be the time that was most convenient for people in various time zones.
Holy shit! We just got it.
Oh, whoa! We just got a huge super chat from Konshu66. Wow! Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That's the biggest super chat that we have ever received. Thank you so much. Our YouTube income, which the income is, it is what it is. I haven't made a video about that yet. It's on the low side. But our super chats and YouTube income goes directly to Benton Homestead's bank account, not our personal bank account. So you just directly have, helped us meet that 25 million yen goal. So thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. We don't, do you want to introduce yourself and say where you're from? I don't recognize your screen name or your picture, so feel free to let us know who you are if you would like. Thank you very much. And Julie, also thank you for your super chat as well. Julie, we always appreciate having you here on the live streams and keeping updated with you. So thanks so much to our regulars. Thanks for our 3 super chats, Julie, Jacqueline, and Konshu66. Wishing you all the best, Konshu says. Canada. Thanks, Konshu. Mysterious Konshu. Coming in at the last minute here. Thank you so much. Okay, getting back to the questions, Edgar says, if you hire a Japanese national first employee, can you then hire foreigner specialists who don't meet the N2 requirement? Absolutely.
Yes.
So as long as either the business manager or your first employee meets the N2 requirement. Ponkon's coming to say hello.
Yeah, and if you speak Japanese, you could hire a Japanese national who didn't speak Japanese.
Wonder how often that would come up. Oh, buddy. Poncon says it's time to go.
Yeah, so we're delayed here, but if y'all have any other questions, throw them in the chat there, and we'll be happy to answer them.
Yep. That music guy says you can change the settings in your YouTube backend. The delay is from processing time and such. Thanks. I'll look into it. Poncon, say hi to all of your fans. Poncon makes a rare appearance, but he has a lot to say, don't you?
Well, it says between here and here, it says it's only like 18 seconds delay, so I'm not
Well,
sure.
maybe it caught back up because it was quite a bit of time earlier.
All right, we got some questions.
Poor orange baby. No, that's his happy sound. He Poncon has a lot to say. He's oh, buddy.
That's not his happy sound.
That's his Bosco stop licking my butt sound.
Brackman is thinking of trying to visit Japan next year during the cherry blossom season. That's a great.
Oh, cool, yeah.
It's a great time to visit. It's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to plan because it's hard to predict. They have a forecast thing they put on the TV and the interwebs. So
yeah, they always update it constantly based on the temperature and how soon the buds are going to open and all of that. So if you do visit during cherry blossom season, and if you happen to make it out of the big cities, let me just tell you briefly. Obviously, no obligation to come visit us. We are a little bit out of the way, but we've got a cool route that people can take. So we are by bullet train, not that far from Osaka. So if you're planning to visit Osaka from there, and that takes you to Fukuyama, and from there you can catch a bus to the Shimanami Kaido, or of course ride your bikes, which is the most popular thing. Now the cool thing is that a lot of our guests then go straight back up to Fukuyama and straight back to Osaka and sort of do this like backtracking thing. But when our friends came to visit us from New Orleans, and even though that was their first time in Japan, they felt like being adventurous. And you can actually do a loop using the Shimanami Kaido Islands. So from Osaka, you can take the train to Fukuyama, go down and visit the Shimanami Kaido, and instead of going back, you can continue south, and you can take an overnight ferry that takes you to... Oh, I did the names wrong. The ferry takes you to Osaka. You start from Kyoto. Oh, darn it. I ruined that whole thing. So from Kyoto, you take the train to Fukuyama, and then down, and then you take the overnight ferry back to Osaka. So I sort of made that really confusing because I got the names mixed up, which I always do. Anyways, feel free to talk to me if you have any questions about travel planning. And if you do happen to come to this area, we've got a great viewpoint that we can show you, that you can see the cherry, like a sea of cherry blossoms and all the little islands dotting the Seto Sea. So whether or not you come to this area, feel free to ask questions about your trip planning.
And I've got a bunch of little sakura seedlings that I started this year, and I've got a whole jar of seeds to start again next year. So that is a long-term project that we're planning to beautify the Shimanami Kaido.
Mm-hmm. So Wicked of Oz here at the end, he's saying that because of the visa changes, he's having to change his plan. And he says, through your previous comments, so I'm now going through the process of an artist visa. I understand this is another hard process, but fingers crossed. So good luck, Wicked of Oz. Really hoping for your artist visa. I know you are heavily involved in the arts and have plans to start art festival. I don't want to narrow the scope. I seem to remember it's like a film festival. So good luck with that with the artist visa. It certainly seems to me from an outside perspective, not knowing anything about the artist visa, that might qualify. So good luck, Wicked of Oz, with the artist visa. Everybody loves Poncon. Marcus says cherry blossoms have been a week early the last couple of years, so we'll see if that continues on. It was an extra hot summer this year, and we didn't get a rainy season early this year, so I'm not sure how that will continue to affect cherry blossoms next year. Edgar says Nick from Japan remotely in his recent newsletter mentioned Japanese businesses potentially offering employer of record services. Is that something in the future of Benton Homestead? That's a long conversation that we can save for another month because we've only got a couple minutes left here. That's a good question. We don't know for sure, but I'm gonna say maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we've gotten so many requests for that's definitely something we're considering.
Yeah.
It's just the legality of it. It seems, I don't know, goofy to me, but we're definitely open to it. And with what we're doing, we have a lot of opportunity, or we have a lot of reasons to legitimately hire people, for different sort of like professional roles. So I could see it making sense for us for sure.
Yeah, people started asking us for that like really early on in our business, and it's our immigration lawyer and we've been advised that that's definitely a possibility in the future, but that not
But
yet.
let's face it, with these business manager changes, that becomes, much more, I think, enticing, necessary, important, So yeah.
CB says when she gets to visit the Shimanami Kaido area, she wants to travel by ferry. Now, there is a great way to get here by ferry as well. If you want to take the ferry from just outside of Onomichi, you can stop by Rabbit Island on your way to Ōmishima and then arrive on Ōmishima. And you would probably want to bring a bike or something if you come the ferry route that goes to Rabbit Island and then here, because there's no bus service from the ferry to the rest of the island. It's only about a 15-minute bike ride, but it would be about a 45-minute or an hour walk, which is a lot. So you'd probably want to bring a bike if you do that, or arrange for the taxi to pick you up there. There is an island taxi that we've helped guests with quite a bit lately. It's old school. They only speak Japanese. You have to call by phone. There's no app taxi on the island. No fancy modern way to do that yet. But we're always happy to help arrange taxi service or anything like that. So it's pretty much a daily activity for me, is helping guests plan their trip and their arrival and dinner and transportation and all of that. So I'm always happy to help if people are coming to the area, even if you're not staying with us. If you're part of our little online community here and we've been in contact, always feel free to ask travel questions for the Shimanami Kaido. I'm always happy to help. And of course, there's also great companies like Cycle Shimanami and Travel Shimanami that have lots of advice on their website as well. But you're always welcome to reach out with specific questions about our area. With luggage, I was thinking of the orange ferry from Osaka. Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about, the overnight ferry. Although if you're going from Osaka to Imabari, I'm not sure if it's overnight. That might be during the day. But if you're going from Imabari to Osaka, the orange ferry is overnight. So you get on and you go to bed. And then you wake up and you're in Osaka. And Marcus says, CB, you can always kuro neko your bags, which is a baggage transport. A lot of guests do that too. So most of our guests don't arrive by bicycle with any sort of luggage. They just have that sent on to their next hotel for after cycling. So lots of options, lots of ways to travel to Shimanami Kaido, lots of ways to do it that are easier than others, and it just takes a little bit of planning in the countryside, but if you get things planned in advance, you're going to have a great time. So, I think that's it. We're after 10 now. Thanks, guys. I hope we answered some questions this month. You think we answered some questions?
I hope
Yeah.
this was helpful. It's, again, it's a really stressful time for us. Sometimes it's like hard to just put a positive face forward, but that's what we're doing our best to do. We're going to, again, we're going to be taking some downtime the first few weeks of November, so we won't have any new videos out during that time, and the honey shop will be closed. We're just going to take a breather. We have been going non-stop for over 3 years to build our business here, so we are going to be taking a break in the beginning of November until the 15th. So wish us luck. Wish you guys luck.
Yolo Tempatai, Retoro Fudosan. Move to Ikuchi. Welcome to the neighborhood, buddy.
Oh, he's been here since last year. Hope to
Yeah.
see you sometime in Ōmishima or Ikuchijima. Yes, that would be great. Please feel free to reach out and send a message. We'd be happy to meet up for coffee or for dinner sometime. Always happy to meet island neighbors. So, nice to meet you. Hajimemashite.
And thanks for joining us today, Edgar. We'll look forward to seeing you later in the week online.
Yep, sounds good.
And yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you again for the super chat donations. Very helpful. That goes directly towards meeting the new business manager visa goals. Wizard of Oz says, thanks guys. Always find these videos amazing and informative. Also, I'm going out of the country while you are on your break. You are more than welcome to stay at my place on Nakatajima. Thank you so much for the invitation. Some other time we would love to take you up on that. We've already got a plan for our downtime here in November. We're going to regroup. We're going to see you soon. I'm going to try and get 1 or 2 videos out before we take our downtime, but you won't hear from us the first 2 weeks of November, and then we'll be back in full force after that, and we'll be getting our new plan in place. So we got a lot coming out soon. We got a long uphill battle ahead of us, but we're going to bring you guys with us, and we're going to answer all your questions along the way, and hopefully this rising tide will lift some other ships as well, and you guys, we can all continue to help each other, especially Wicked of Oz. I think your experience is going to be helpful if you're successful with your artist visa, which we hope you are. So we'd be more than happy to help share your information with our little community too. So it's not just the business manager visa. We're here to help everyone come up with solutions for our dreams. So, all right, guys. Thank you. We're out of here. Bosco's got to go run off some energy. Okay. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
All right, y'all.